Hi, and welcome to this week's Crush It in Sales podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet, and I'm so excited and grateful that you joined me today. Well, today is Tuesday, September 27th, 2022, and I'm saying that for a reason because right now we are in the midst of receiving the initial outer bands of Hurricane Ian. Now, granted, we live in the Keys, so we are just going to be receiving wind and rain. And the majority of this hurricane is going to be hitting the Tampa area. So our thoughts and prayers definitely go out to them and hope that everyone is safe. So we're very grateful that we are not having any major hurricane here in the Keys or even South Florida. And we're really hopeful that the Tampa area is safe as well. But what led me to this podcast topic is that when Ryan and I woke up, we started thinking about all the ways we are super abundant in our life and in our business. And we are extremely grateful for that abundance. This is something that is so important for your growth and for you to level up in your life and your business. And I'm going to dare say that most people don't do it. Most people have a lack mindset, they have limiting beliefs, and they don't even often recognize it. And it's something I pick up on quite easily as a coach, as I'm able to easily recognize patterns with what people say, especially over email or in conversations. And it's pretty fascinating. So I thought I would share today one of our success secrets, and that is that we're always grateful for the abundance we have in our business and in our life. So this morning, with this outer band situation of rain, pouring rain, one of the things that we were grateful for right away is that we have an abundance of pee pads in our house because if you know us, we have 3 little Shih Tzus and we couldn't take them outside to go for a walk. So we're grateful that they had pee pads to pee on, right? So it's something simple like that you're just like, oh my gosh, am I giving gratitude for the abundance of coffee that we have? I was able to find this coffee brand that Ryan and I switched to that has really affected our health. We had this cough that we couldn't stop, and we switched coffee just happenstance. It wasn't even intentional to stop the cough. And our coughs have both stopped. And so I found that I could order it in bulk on Amazon, and the box came yesterday. And it was just so fun to receive this box of coffee that not only tastes so much better than what we were drinking before, but also has helped our health situation like immensely. It's crazy, right? And so if you're a business person that needs to have some coffee to start your day, yes, being grateful for the abundance of coffee you have in your house, especially if you work from home, so you can get your day started and feel good and be on the right foot, right? So I challenge you to look around and really take some time to be present and intentional and have conscious awareness around what are you grateful for. That may seem simple or silly, but it's so important because the more gratitude you have for the abundance that you have in your business, in your life, the more will flow to you. I started then rattling off a list to Ryan just off the top of my head of all the things that we are grateful for. I mean, obviously in the sport fishing business, we're grateful for line and hooks and bait. We're grateful for our mechanic. We're grateful for our seakeeper mechanic. We're grateful for crews that helps us as a 1099. We're so grateful for all of these things and all these people. And to us, that's an abundance. The ability to have these things like at our fingertips. And yes, they're services and we pay for them, but we gratefully pay for them. It's like an amazing thing that we can write a check for bait and be like, here you go. Thank you so much. Now we have this abundance of bait in our freezer that Ryan can easily use for charters. It's a shift in the mindset from being like, oh, that's a bill, to being like, oh, thank you so much that we can, have this just on hand. And we've been like this for years. We have been like this for years. And I honestly believe that this has definitely contributed to our success. And it's something that I continue to be extremely intentional about every day. And Ryan is as well. So something else that had happened that I saw, and I love how like things kind of come together, but John Lee Dumas and Kate Erickson, who are Podcasters Paradise and Entrepreneurs on Fire, and then Kate has her own podcast, I believe it's called Kate's Take. Well, I am connected with Kate on Instagram and Facebook, and they just recently celebrated their 10-year anniversary of the podcast and Podcasters Paradise. And if you followed us from the way beginning when Ryan started his podcast in 2018, which was now over 4 years ago, you'll know that I was the one who first heard about John Lee Dumas from reading Gary Vaynerchuk's book and discovered podcasting. And then I started to follow John for a little bit and listen to his podcast. And then I signed up for his program, Podcasters Paradise, which was $2,000 at the time. I don't know what it is right now, but at the time it was $2,000. And then to continue to be part of their community, which is a Facebook group with a live Q&A call once a month, I believe it was $49 a month. And I continued to be in that community for 2 years, paying $49 a month so I can continue to learn and grow. To me, any courses, any coaches, any teachers, anything I pay for, that's an abundance. How grateful am I to the universe that we always seem to be able to figure it out and be able to, even if it is a stretch financially, it still works out. And it's a freaking write-off because we're 1099s. But to me, that's an abundance. I was like, oh my gosh, to have this abundance of information that I could learn and then share more quickly to Ryan so he could jumpstart his podcast really quickly without spending the time. That was an abundance. It's an abundance to be able to collapse time, to shorten time, and have some tools at your fingertips, whether it's a coach or a program or course, even something that's, on Facebook. These things are really, really important, and I'm so grateful for them. So I have an abundance mindset around paying people for their value and being like, yes, let's do it. I don't have a limiting belief around, well, am I going to get something from this? Am I going to get the right thing? I really don't get stuck in that pattern. And it's a pattern that I do believe that a lot of people have. And then all of a sudden time goes by and they're like 6 months later, they're still stuck because they didn't take the chance and do something to move their business forward. So I see this all the time, and it's really, really amazing. And I listened to John Lee Dumas on a podcast episode the other day too. I think it was over the weekend. It was Joel Brown, Addicted to Success. I have no idea how I originally found Joel Brown's podcast because I don't follow him or anything, but he's been in my podcast lineup on Stitcher forever, since the way beginning. And once in a while I cruise through my podcasts that I have saved on Stitcher and I see, is there anything that looks interesting that I want to listen to? So I was like, oh, here's, an interview with John Lee Dumas, and knowing they just celebrated 10 years, let's see, what he has to share. I think it was an old podcast, but what I took from that podcast was just remembering the timeline that he shared about his business. And I hadn't heard his timeline in a while, and I always love hearing people's timelines because to me it shows how they continue to invest in themselves and have a really positive mindset towards building their business. So he said in their 10 years, the first 1 to 3 years was really hustling hard, figuring it out, really learning and starting to build. And then 4 to 7 years, and I'm paraphrasing what he said because I didn't write it down, but I'm just kind of paraphrasing. But the years I know I have right. So 4 to 7 was more of where, you start to see momentum and likely, you start to make a little money. So that's kind of like a midpoint, I should say. And then, 7 to 10, they really, right? You could say they're on fire. And, he talks a lot about building like his war chest of wealth. If I got that correct, if not, I apologize. But like I said, I'm paraphrasing. I didn't take notes because I was on a walk when I was listening to this podcast. And yeah, it's just something to remember as you're going through your business building. If you're having doubts, if you're feeling a little stuck, I really hope this podcast helps bring you back to thinking about the abundance you do have, whatever it is. If it's something tactical, like I mentioned with sport fishing, in terms of having, hooks and bait and line, or if it's something a little more intangible, like taking a course or having a coach or someone to learn from, that's also abundance. And then remembering that, there are timelines out there. Don't focus on the timeline because that's what helps you collapse time, but you still have to be like cognizantly aware that, things do take time. And if it was easy for everybody, right? If the universe was like, oh, today you decided, Melinda, that you're going to be a coach and we're going to make you a multi-millionaire coach in, a month, well, heck, everyone would be doing it, right? And that's just not possible or feasible. So keeping in mind a little bit, I always like that refresher of people's timelines because it just kind of helps you keep motivated to keep going. And then you have this tool of remembering to be grateful for the abundance that you already have, can help you give like a little extra mindset shift and motivation to keep going. So anyhow, so that's my little pep talk for this week. I hope you liked it. I would love to connect with you. You can connect with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter. I will put all sorts of information in the show notes, including my links for the audios, which are my podcasts on steroids. They are $22. I also have masterclass workshop 2-day experiences that I'm going to be doing, that I started doing, I should say, every other week. And I'm going to be continuing them. And that information will also always be, posted in Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, on my website. I feel like I post all over, but I also have realized, and this is another tip for everyone out there, that not everyone sees everything. People are distracted. People are taking care of their own business. People aren't always on every platform. People don't always read everything. So keep on selling. If you're out there, keep on moving forward, keep on selling, and post it everywhere that you can think to post it, because that doesn't even take into account the fact that with marketing, I think people have to see things like 30 times before they make a decision. So just keep on going. So in the essence of that, for myself, again, you will see things posted everywhere, my websites, the podcast, the show notes, on the social media platforms. So definitely check things out, and you can always email me if you have a question too. So until next week, I hope you crush it in sales, and thank you so much for listening.